Welcome back, A to Z fans. Today we're going to be going over onions, potatoes, and garlic, and what to do if they started sprouting inside your pantry, or even if you just wanted to reuse the garlic that you grew from last year. So here's a couple of examples of what they may look like in your pantry when they're ready to be replanted. So here's an onion that I grew last year. What you can do if if you're saving it to cook with, and it starts to grow like this, I'm going to show you how to replant this. This is one of the onion sets that I have from last year. As you can see, it's small, but it's a little bit bigger than the onion sets that I bought last year from the store. So it's already regrowing. So all I'm going to do is put it in the ground, and I'll show you which way to put it up facing, and then you'll be able to see how to plant them and get a bigger onion. So the bulb should be bigger this year since it's already starting off as a pre-grown onion that's just small. But here's a garlic that, as you can see, is sprouting. I'll show you what to do with garlics also. And here's some potatoes that you can see started to sprout. I bought these from the store, so I'm going to try and grow potatoes this year and see how it goes. So this is how I'm going to plant them, and I'll keep updating throughout the year and show you how well they do. So I've selected my spot to put the garlic that we have. I'm going to put these three right about here. You want them about 1 foot separated from each other, 1 square foot. So these were kind of weird ones that came out of the garden last year. It was a single bulb, so there's no individual garlic cloves on it. They're all the same. So ideally you have the paper still on it. So they always suggest to leave the paper on. So I'm going to do that with that one. But these two don't really, the paper came off. But as you can see, they are single bulbs of garlic. So I'm going to pick my spot. I put some mulch. It's just grass and leaves that prevent weeds from growing. So all I'm going to do is dig a hole, put the tip here facing up. You want it about 4 to 6 inches deep, depending on how big your bulb is. It's a pretty big bulb, so I think I'm going to put it a little bit deeper than 4 inches, probably closer to 6. And the tip is pointing up, and you just cover it back in. And over time it will pop up out of the ground. I already have some growing, so they will be ready to be picked in July. Okay, we're going to plant our second one here. Again, we're going to put it about 6 inches deep with the point facing up. It's okay if it's sticking out a little bit because it's already a plant that's been growing for a while. And the third one's going to go right over here. So these will be ready for harvest in July, or around June, July, in which then you'll have to dry them out. I'll show you my drying rack when that time comes. Really easy to make. And then just kind of break up the dirt. And then once the top of the garlics break through the ground and get a little bit bigger, you can put more mulch in here, and that will prevent weeds from growing. I use grass and leaves because it's free from my lawn. It provides nitrogen into the ground. It's very easy and cheap to get. For garlic heads that look like this, what you're going to do is you don't want to plant the whole thing because there's a bunch of different cloves in here. So what you're going to do is you're just going to break it apart. You can take off some of the skin to make it a little bit easier. And once you're able to split it, so you can split it like this, and now that will create 2 plants. Each one of these cloves will make 1 garlic plant. So you want to take them all out. There's a bunch of garlic cloves in here. And then you plant each one about a square foot away from each other. If you don't want to wing it, you can just use your shoe size. Approximately 1 shoe length away from each other is fine. Now that we have all of our garlic cloves, I'm going to plant them in the ground. I'll show you what that looks like also. Ideally, you plant garlic in the fall, around October or November. It's okay if you don't make it in time. You can do it in early spring as soon as the ground is workable. So anywhere from November to, I'd say, February is fine. We're in the middle of January right now, and I'm going to plant some more garlic which should catch up. They might be a little bit smaller than the ones that I planted in fall, but that'll be okay. So here are those small cloves that we had earlier. The paper's still on them. Planting cloves is a little bit easier than planting the large bulb type garlics that I got from last year. So all you're gonna do is same thing, you're gonna put it in about, I'd say 4 to 6 inches for these small ones, even maybe 3 inches or so. I just put the shovel in, push up, which opens up the ground for you. Put it in facing up with the point facing up, and then just push it back down and work the dirt around it, and you're good to go. And just do that for all of yours, about a foot away from each other. Lift the ground up, put it in, cover it up. Very easy to do. Garlic is one of my favorite plants to grow because it's pretty much a set and forget type of plant. Once you put it in the ground, you don't really have to do much to it besides water, maybe weed around it a little bit. But even that's pretty optional. If you put the correct mulch on top of it, then there shouldn't be much weeds at all. Here's some of the garlic rows that I'm growing right now. I planted these in October or November. As you can see, they're poking through quite nicely. They're cold resistant. So here in zone 9B, we don't have to worry about it at all. If you plant them in the fall in a very cold climate, they'll just wait until it's warm enough to grow out of the soil. So even if you get hard freezes, you don't have to worry about garlic. It will be perfectly fine until the early summer, until when you are able to harvest. So I've laid out where I want the onions to be planted. Same thing as garlic, what I'm going to do is put them about a little bit shallower though. So I'm going to put onions about 2 to 4 inches in the ground. You want the top to just barely be below the soil. So same thing, you're going to put the bottom of the onion in with the plant just barely tipping out. You can kind of see right here that it's poking out a little bit. These you can plant a little bit closer to each other, so you can plant them about 6 inches apart. So nice and easy way to grow onions. Sets are easier to grow compared to the seeds. They also tend to grow a little bit bigger the first season. So what a lot of people will do is they will just grow a small amount of onions and pull them early, and that gives you a small set like this that will now grow into a nice sized onion in its second season. So here we put it under the ground, and I'd say in about a week or two, all 4 of them will be growing up pretty nicely here. I'll keep you updated on that one. So growing onions and garlic are pretty similar, but potatoes couldn't be any more different. So I'm going to actually be trying to grow the potatoes in a garden planter just like this. And my plan is to put the potatoes in and then cover them with 2 to 3 inches of soil. And when the plant grows a few inches out of the ground, you're actually going to recover the plant with dirt or soil. So we'll see how this works, and hopefully the plant will keep growing and you'll get all of the potatoes in the dirt when you're done. So as you can see, most of the planter is empty. It goes down about 1.5 feet, and I have about 3 to 4 inches of soil at the bottom. So I'm going to take these potatoes, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your handy scissors, kitchen scissors, and you're going to cut off where the eye is. And in doing that, you'll have one plant grow out of this one and one plant grow out of this one. You can see the eyes coming here. So I'm going to separate them a little bit, just put them in the dirt. I'm going to do that for the rest of these, see how many I can fit in here. If there's no plants growing off of the other side, it'll be fine. You can still put it in, and a potato plant should grow. But I would suggest using the ones that have the plants on them if you have extras, just because that'll kind of give it a head start towards growing. So this one has a nice plant on it growing already. And if you wanted to plant potatoes and you don't have any potatoes with plants growing on them, that's fine. You can just cut them, and I'd say probably quartered is the most you would want to cut them to size. Otherwise it might be too small. But actually I'm going to put this one in a hole and see what happens. Let's see, one more. Spacing, I'm just kind of spreading them out a little bit, finding some space. And so now that they're in their position, all I'm going to do is cover them with dirt. I think I'm going to cover them with about 3 inches of soil. Spread it out a little bit. And I'm going to give it some water and see what happens. If nothing grows, I'll casually never mention this test ever again. Just kidding, of course. So that is what to do with onions, potatoes, and garlic that have grown in your cupboard. Or if you want to just, so the way that I got started with my garlic was I just went to the store and picked out the nicest garlic that I could find that was organic. I then waited till the next fall and broke off all the pieces and put it into the garden. And I've been doing that so I started with those, and then I've been saving the cloves of the best garlic that I get every year, so that hopefully every year my garlic will be getting bigger and better with taste year after year. I think this is my 4th year doing that, and it's been working really well. My plan this year is to enter the fair. I'm going to look into getting into the fair. I'm not really sure what they look for in garlic yet, but I'm hoping that I have some good looking garlic to submit. I'll post a picture of the garlic that I got last year that I really wish I could have gotten to the fair, but the cutoff was unfortunately after I got those garlics. So here's a picture of those garlics now. This is my first year growing potatoes, so I'm not really sure how this is going to go. This is my first attempt at it. My main worry is that the sunlight won't get down into that deep of a container, but I hope that it will. I'm not really sure. So a lot of times what they do is they have containers that you can add to so that the sun still is able to hit the soil. You add another outer part of the container, and then you could fill it with soil, and the outer part will hold the soil on it, so you can keep just stacking it on top of each other. So hopefully we'll get some nice potatoes. I'll keep you updated on how that goes. Thanks for watching my channel, A to Z with Jay-Z, and please like and subscribe.